chronic spinal pain. But the problem is, whenever I put a large algorithm in a slide, it becomes fragmented. So instead of keeping that large algorithm, I have put into steps. Now the first question comes, why this algorithm approach is required? First of all, low back pain is a big burden for the society, and it happens mostly in such age which is economically productive. So we require an algorithm. And symptom-based treatment is having a problem that it is too much variable. It can change according to the doctor to doctor. So we need a structure, reproducible and evidence-based decision making, and that is why this algorithm is very essential. Now this algorithm is prepared mainly based on NICE guideline and few other guidelines as well that will be mentioned in black everywhere in the slide. Now first of all, a definition. What is a chronic spinal pain? So a pain, mainly the spinal pain, that is lasting over 3 months continuously is usually considered as a chronic spinal pain. It could be axial or it could be a radiating pain. According to location, it can also be divided, for example, cervical, thoracic or lumbar pain, at what region it is happening. And according to nature, it could be divided into 3 parts, mainly one nociceptive, neuropathic and now nociplastic. Now coming to the core principles. So one thing should always remember, we need a diagnosis before any intervention. So without diagnosis, only image base is not adequate to do any procedure. We should start from a most least invasive procedure to a more invasive procedure. For example, if you are thinking the pain can be because of a myofascial pain or it could be because of a facet. That's a very common confusion that happens, and sometimes both remains together. In such a case, first go for the myofascial pain because it is comparatively least invasive, and then go for the deeper part, mainly towards the facet. Similarly, if you are suspecting a radiculopathy along with, then the selective nerve root block to be done after that. So we should always go from a least invasive to most invasive. Especially, it is important for the diagnostic blocks as well, because if we actually first giving the local anesthetic at the root, and now I am thinking I will be evaluating a facet or a myofascial pain, it is not possible. And functional improvement is the primary outcome, and patient should be done continuous reassessment. That is very, very important. Now I have split this algorithm into the following steps. First of all, initial patient assessment, physical examination, identification of the red flags, then baseline investigation, pain generator based classification, conservative management, reassessment after the conservative management. This step can be skipped in such certain situations, then diagnostic interventional procedures, then therapeutic interventional procedures, multidisciplinary management and escalation pathway. So these are the steps one by one we need to consider. First of all, history, most important for the initial evaluation, pain onset, duration, progression, location, radiation, mechanical versus inflammatory pattern or a neuropathic pattern, red flags that needs to be ruled out. Then pain characterization, whether it is axial or radicular or referred or neuropathic, and aggressive releasing factors are common part of the evaluation protocol. On physical examination, there are inspection, posture, range of movement analysis, then we have the full neurological examination, very essential, followed by the provocative test like facet loading, radicular signs, sacroiliac joint test. So we have to perform them one by one. So once we have done the physical evaluation, then by this time we have already found if there are any red flags or not. Now the red flags for low back pain, I think everyone knows, it is repeated so many times, I am not repeating, I am going forward. So if red flags are present, do immediate imaging evaluation, and if required, send the patient to respective specialty. if aggressive treatment is required, start for an aggressive treatment as required. Now, moving to the next part, that is the baseline investigation. Remember, all spinal pain patients do not require too much investigations. In fact, you should know when to do an investigation and when not to do indications. Then we need to know what are the indications for the MRI and CT, correlation of the imaging with the clinical findings. That is one of the most important thing, because here, unless and until even in MRI, if you find a disc but it is not matching with the symptoms, there is no point doing intervention for that disc, because we know in a number of patients there could be an asymptomatic disc and that can be there. That is not the cause of the pain. So even if you are treating it, it is not going to help. And avoid over investigation. That is also very, very important. Now coming to the pain generator based classification. Now you have all the physical examination findings, you have all the imaging findings. Now divide the patient. I think a little bit of jumbling of the slide has happened because of this computer, because the font is not loaded. So the common pains that happens in young patient is the discogenic pain, it's a central pain, and here it is usually a poorly localizing pain, and initial pain nature is sometimes a purely nociceptive, then sometimes it can go to a little bit neuropathic pain or the mixed and as well. In facet joint mediated pain, another nociceptive pain. In chronic state, it can take a little bit of neuropathic characters. And radicular pain, this is a primary neuropathic pain. So these are by the pain nature and where it is radiating and referring. Based on that, we can classify. Then other types of pain like spinal stenosis, sacroiliac joint, myofascial, piriformis, CRPS, they could be present. So it's a small algorithm to find out which type of pain is happening. But actually, sometimes these features are overlapped. So you have to be careful. And in this part, your experience come into play as well, not only algorithm. Next, coming to the conservative management. Essential. And in some patients, we can continue for 6 to 12 weeks. Here, most important is the patient education and reassurance, activity modification, structured physiotherapy, pharmacotherapy in the form of NSAIDs, neuropathic agents, muscle relaxant as required based on the patient's requirement, patient side effect profile of those medicines, and also based on the coexisting diseases of the patient. That is very, very important. And in this part also, it takes time to get a clinical judgment what dose, what drug can be most suitable for the patient, for a specific patient. And another important patient is the psychological screening, because nowadays we got a number of psychogenic back pain patients as well, where sometimes it is very difficult to treat these conditions. Next, definitely we need to reassess the patient following our initial management of 4 to 6 weeks. But remember, I have already told initially, in serious situation, these steps can be skipped sometimes. So pain intensity, functional improvement, quality of life, very, very important, and adherence with the treatment protocol and response, all needs to be taken care of. Now coming to the diagnostic interventions. What are the diagnostic interventions that we know? For each and every pain generator, we have some diagnostic procedures, and this is what that differentiates pain physicians from other branches, because we have that technique and skill to differentiate which structure is causing the pain. So first confirm the pain generator with the help of the diagnostic blocks, and once you can do the following blocks like the diagnostic medial branch block, diagnostic intra-articular block, selective root block, SI joint block, and it should be always controlled and image guided. It is very essential to be done under image guided as required under fluoroscopy or ultrasound. Because nowadays there are certain procedures like a sacroiliac joint injection. We have all found it is comparatively easier. Piriformis muscle injection is comparatively easier with ultrasound than fluoroscopy, and we are more targeted. So nowadays it doesn't depend only on fluoroscopy, it depends on both ultrasound and fluoroscopy as required we have to do. Now therapeutic intervention. So if we are finding that any specific pain generator, we can go for the therapeutic interventions based on what is required by the patients, For example, epidural steroid injection for the radiculopathies, facet interventions for the facet arthropathies, radiofrequency ablation, SI joint intervention, and neuromodulation. But in this case, I will also suggest that while you are evaluating and doing these things, don't forget to rule out the systemic causes, because as we are talking too many times about the sacroiliac joint arthropathies, you might have missed or the patient is might having a spondyloarthropathy. So you have to rule out that as well. Okay? It is not becoming only the pain physician, but your inner physician, general physician should always be there assisting you. Then coming to the multidisciplinary approach. Some patients don't respond only with a simple modality. So this multidisciplinary approach ideally to be used even before that, especially in the conservative, it starts from the conservative management part as well. So physical rehabilitation should be started, and also we sometimes require cognitive behavioral therapy, though it is very presentable thing, sounds very good, but finding a CVT physician or therapist is very, very difficult, that we know. So in those cases, we can follow the others like lifestyle modification, weight management, ergonomics. These are very, very essential. And for this, actually what is required is a very good counseling. If you are a very good counselor, that is very good. Otherwise, if you can want to take the help of the other physicians and counselors, that is also acceptable. But remember, for most of my patients, I put a lot of time, especially the post-procedure rehabilitation and the for further follow-up. Because if it is not done properly, the patient's pain is going to recur because due to some or other reason. Now coming to the escalation pathway. You have done everything, but the patient is still having the pain. This is not uncommon. So we have told so many things, so many interventions, and so many clinical findings, but sometimes when we come actually to the patient, all becomes blurred because this is symptoms. They are showing 2-3 diseases symptoms, they are combined together. And sometimes even after, it might happen, it's a very common phenomena that for the diagnostic medial branch block, you have got a very good pain relief. But after the radiofrequency, the pain relief is not adequate. That because of very different reasons it can happen, but you have to find out and reassess the patient. Why my intervention is not worked. If there is something that is surgically to be treated or required, then we should send to the friend surgeons, because it is always a mutual understanding between the different physicians to get the maximum benefit of the patient and avoid premature surgery and a combined decision making. This is very much important part of a patient. I have all my friends from the batchmates or seniors or my known friends from different branches. So whenever we are finding some patients which I think it is not exactly matching with the symptoms what I am thinking, so we always inter-refer the patient. See, truly multidisciplinary practice in pain clinic is truly not possible. It is more theoretical in India. But what we can do, we can mutually share the data, maybe unofficially, just asking that what I am thinking, what he is thinking. And if we are very good friends, usually the patient do not goes away, they stays within us and they continue it. And ultimately we have to do a shared decision making. So in that way, we can improve our practice as well. And at the end, we have to take special considerations for elderly population, osteoporotic patient, failed back patients, chronic pain patients, chronic opioid use patients, and patients with the psychological problems. In those cases, you should definitely be consulting with a psychiatrist with a pain experience. And finally, we should go for a final outcome measure in the form of functional scales, pain scores, long-term monitoring, relapse prevention. These are a very essential part of a complete management of a chronic spinal pain. So in that way, we will be able to give maximum benefit to the patient. And in the take-home message, I should say chronic spinal pain is diagnosis driven. It is not image driven. So my teacher used to say that we are not treating the image, we are treating the patient. So always remember this thing. Algorithms improve outcomes and reduce over-treatment. Interventions should be targeted and evidence-based, and multidisciplinary care. Though it is not possible in the form of a very multidisciplinary pain clinic when one patient is seen by many doctors together, but it can be done through a referral basis, and I should say in India that should be probably the best thing. Thank you.